Hello peeps, welcome back to Big Deck Playa with me, Matt Sparks. On today's show, we're taking a look at a hunter deck that's not a face hunter. This is actually a mid-range, slightly control hunter, and I've been having a lot of fun with this deck. Okay, so this is the Thejordudes mid-range hunter, and it's a pretty cool deck. I've been having so much fun with this deck. So let's take a look at it. First off, we start off with one hunter's mark. Now this primarily is used for getting rid of something that's big, or a taunt of some description maybe. Anything that could be a potential threat, use your hunter's mark and you can get rid of it really easy. There's no big game hunter in this deck, so you're going to have to think of alternative ways to get rid of anything that's a bit big and scary. We have two web spinners. Now these are really good turn 1 drops, so if you can, mulligan for these, because they're great. We have two freezing traps. These are really useful because you're playing a more control style deck rather than an aggro style deck. There's no explosive trap. I try and use these if I can to put out to protect any minions that I want to keep alive for maybe another turn, or if they've just played something that's a bit big and a bit scary, you can send it back to their hand. Anything that's they've just buffed. Especially priests. Priests like to buff things up. You put a freezing trap down and then all of a sudden that minion gets sent back to their hand and all those buffs are now gone. Also, freezing trap is useful against some of the bigger legendary creatures. Stuff like Ysera, for example. Should you get to turn 9 and they play Ysera, if Ysera attacks and gets sent back to the hand, they can never play Ysera again because they will never have 11 mana. So that's pretty cool. So be smart with your freezing traps. As I say, this isn't a face hunter, this isn't a rush deck, so there's no explosive trap. But freezing trap can be very, very useful. We have one quick shot. I still haven't yet to use the draw a card ability on quick shot because I always seem to have enough cards in my hand. But doing 3 damage for 2 mana can be quite useful. It's essentially like the Dark Bomb that Warlocks get, except that we have the potential to draw a card as well. Useful for maintaining some board control. The last trap in the deck is a snake trap. And this is particularly useful because we have a couple of knife jugglers in this deck. So snake trap and knife juggler combo is very nice. Very nice indeed. If you can keep your knife juggler alive and put a snake trap out, and then when anything attacks your knife juggler to get rid of it, there's a good chance that the knife juggler might kill it before it attacks the knife juggler because of all the snakes that come out. So that's a pretty nice combination. Also at 2 mana we have 2 haunted creepers. These combo quite nicely with the knife jugglers as well because you get the 2 1/1 spiders that come out. Very, very cool indeed. At 2 mana also we have a silence. It's the only silence in the deck in the form of an Ironbeak Owl, and because it's a beast it means it synergizes quite well with some of the other things that we have in this deck. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 Knife Jugglers. Knife Juggler is probably my favourite card in the whole game. I love Knife Juggler. I don't know why particularly, but I don't know. I just think he's really cool, and I like the special ability. We have 2 Mad Scientists. Ideally you want to put the Mad Scientists out to get your traps, but it doesn't always work like that. And sometimes you might get a trap that you don't really want. You might want the snake trap and you get the freezing trap. But, you know, it's pretty much 50-50 as to which one you're going to get. You don't get the same amount of control over what you're playing with Mad Scientists as you do if you play the trap itself. So, but Mad Scientists are pretty cool, and you get a 2/2 body on the board as well, so you know it's not too bad. And there's always a chance that if your opponent has any silences, they'll use them on the Mad Scientist instead of using them on other things like Haunted Creepers or any of the other things that we've got in the deck. So that could be a nice way to maybe bait out a silence from your opponent. 2 Eagle Horn Bows, which is really cool because it's got nice synergy with the traps. Don't feel like you have to hold on to that last 1 durability in the hopes of getting the trap, because you might need the eagle horn bow for keeping control of the board. I mean, that's essentially what you want to be doing for sort of the first 5 or 6 turns, is just trying to keep control of the board. And then once you start getting into the higher mana, you can then start thinking about finishing off your opponent, knocking them down ever so slowly until you can start getting some of your big boys out. Also at 3 mana we have 2 animal companions, because what would a hunter deck be without animal companions? These can be really, really good, especially if you already have some beasts on the board as well. Can synergize very nicely with that. We have 2 kill commands, or as I normally call them when I'm playing against hunters, skill command. Obviously if you've got a beast on the board, which there are quite a lot of beasts in this deck, this will do 5 damage for 3 mana, which is pretty cool. I normally keep these for either going face or using them to get rid of stuff like Lotheb, Sludge Belchers, Emperor Tharasan. You know, stuff that's got 4 or 5 health that's going to be a potential threat to anything that I've got on my board. Use them wisely. I mean, you have got 2 of them, so I mean that is a potential 10 damage to the face. So you might want to just keep them in your hand until you're ready to just finish off your opponent and do it that way. We have 2 Unleash the Hounds. These are also very nice to synergize with the Knife Juggler if you can. You can't always. It's not always possible to do that, but if you can, then fantastic stuff. Unleash the Hounds can also combo quite nicely with the Hunter's Mark, should you get anything big and scary. But Unleash the Hounds with the Knife Juggler is one of my favourite plays. At 4 mana we have 2 Houndmasters. Now, because we already have quite a lot of beasts in this deck, giving something +2/+2 and taunt is very, very cool indeed. Especially as we're never sure what we're going to get from a web spinner. We might get something pretty awesome, which would be very nice to use a Houndmaster on. And a 4/3 body isn't too bad for 4 mana either. Talking of 4/3 bodies, we have 2 Piloted Shredders. Obviously these aren't beasts, so they don't synergize quite as well, but I think the Piloted Shredder has become the new Yeti, basically. I would have thought the Mechanical Yeti was going to become the new Yeti, but I think the Piloted Shredders are a little bit better because they trade fairly well, because you're probably going to have to put 2 creatures in because you get 2 creatures for that 4 mana, so the potential for it to be awesome is pretty high, and is in most decks that we feature nowadays in Big Deck Player. At 5 mana we have a Lotheb, 5/5 for 5, that makes all your enemy spells cost 5 more. I like using this. If I can coin it out on turn 4, then that's pretty cool. Just especially against stuff like Paladins, because of Consecration and stuff. Because a lot of the minions that we've got in this deck have quite a low amount of health. Stuff like Knife Jugglers, Mad Scientists, Haunted Creepers, they've all got 2 health. So it's in your interest to try and keep them alive. And using Lotheb to counter your opponent's next turn can be very useful. Using it around turn 4 to avoid Consecration up against Paladins, using it around turn 6 or 7 if you're up against Mages to try and avoid Blizzard and Flame Strike and stuff like that, can be very, very useful indeed. Plus, you know, he's a 5/5 body, so he's not going away too easily. At 6 mana we have 2 Savannah Highmanes. These are quite nice to combo if you've got Knife Jugglers out as well, because they summon the 2/2 hyenas. So you'll get an extra couple of pings off your Knife Juggler, which is pretty cool. Plus a 6/5 for 6 is pretty solid creature. If you have the Houndmaster in hand as well, then that becomes even stronger and becomes an 8/7 with taunt, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. And then finally we have Dr. Boom. Again, not a beast, but it's Dr. Boom. I don't really need to tell you about Dr. Boom. Everyone knows that Dr. Boom is pretty awesome. So there you go. That's why he's in the deck. Now, I've had a lot of fun with this deck. I've only played a few games. I have yet to find anything that was really challenging. Now, the guy that posted this on Hearthstone claims that he went from rank 5 to legend with a 100% win rate. So that's a pretty big claim. I tend to believe him on the basis that so far, I mean, I've only been playing this at like rank 17, 18. No, 17, 16. Yes. So I've been playing it around those ranks, and so far I've not had any problems. So if it continues to do this for me, then I'm going to love playing this deck. And it's pretty fun, and one of the best things about this deck is that the crafting cost is pretty low compared to other decks. Now, stuff like Lotheb is all that's going to come from Naxxramas. So provided you've got Naxxramas, and providing you've done Blackrock Mountain, you'll get some of the cards already. Okay, so like Quick Shot from Blackrock Mountain, Lotheb, Mad Scientist, Haunted Creeper, Web Spinners, they all come from Naxxramas. So if you've done those already, then that's not too much of an issue. So then, all you've really got to think about is really the Snake Trap, which is an epic. But you only need one, so it's not too bad. And then Dr. Boom is the only thing. And I think most people probably would have got Dr. Boom by now, because he's been such an important part of almost every single deck for the last sort of several months. It's 2,880 dust to craft every single card, but to be honest, most people will probably have most of these cards by now, so it's not an expensive deck, particularly. And I really think if you want to play a hunter that's not a face hunter, this could be the deck for you, because it's really good fun. It suits my playstyle down to a T, so I'm going to play a whole bunch more of this deck, and I'm hoping that it does well for me. Probably not going to get to Legend, because I just don't have the time for that, but I'm hoping it'll get me up a few ranks at least. So that's the deck. As per usual, the link to this deck will be in the description, so go over there, give it a thumbs up, show him some love, because it's a really fun deck. If you play this deck, let me know how you get on. If you can recommend any decks to me for future episodes, feel free to give them a link, and I'll be sure to check them out. Otherwise, I shall see you next week for some more Big Deck Playa. Thanks very much for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.